Oh, what up? What up, what up, what up? It's been so long since I've been here. I got the Krusty the Clown hair going. Let me get some moisture in there. This is all good for the audio. If you listen to the audio, that is, on there, shout outs if you do. Post in the Patreon. Of course, it's Guyble Studies. We got the Patreon. We got full vid. You live right now on the twitch.tv/hardcorejeff. Subscribe. We just hit the payout last night. Shout outs. I only see employee here right there, but he was here last night. We had an epic stream of movies. What did we watch? We watched The Bodyguard with Sonny Chiba. Then we watched Requiem for a Dream, classic, still holds up. Then we watched The Killing of a Sacred Deer, a modern folk tale. Was good. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at this, my camera. I'm supposed to look towards camera? That's weird, huh? I'm going to not do that. But if you're on the Patreon, you get the full secret YouTube RSS feed for your Apple Pods or your podcatchers, whatever. But anyways, I figure we have to go back a chapter because at the end of the last Guyble study, we got a little into Joseph. But I figure we probably shouldn't end with Joseph. You may know Joseph from his Broadway musical / film version of, did I say Joseph? Yeah, Joseph. His Technicolor, I named this episode wrong, I realized. And I said stuff about Daniel. Daniel's not the one with the coat, so disregard the episode title right now. I said Daniel in his gay coat. It's Joseph in his gay coat. I don't know where I got Daniel from. He's the Lion Den guy. We've not gotten there. I might be soon, though. I might still be in Genesis. So yeah, not Daniel. It's damn Joseph. But we'll keep the title damn Daniel. Joseph. So we did this this is what, Genesis 37. We did this last time, but I figure I might as well start at the beginning because I think we go through the whole Joseph arc in here. Joseph's this is one that comes up in like Sunday school and shit, if you're familiar. If you're not, man, my hair looks fried. It's bad lighting. Maybe I have a leave-in condition, man. I don't know. What is going on over here, though? I'm sorry, employee. Anyways, Genesis 37. Genesis 37, for those keeping along, we're reading the whole Bible. The name chapters we might have to be skipping through on there. Maybe we'll do it, we'll wrap the names or something, I don't know. But we're doing the whole Bible. New King James Version, Genesis 37, chapter 1, verse 1. Joseph dreams of greatness. Joseph, not Daniel. So now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17, being 17, years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph. Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, the best children. He said, oh yeah, I have my PS4 on. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. Also he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him. They could not speak peaceably to him Yeah, I mean, he kind of singled him out. He set him up to get bullied, the dad there, giving him a gay-ass coat, a multicolored coat, the Technicolor dream coat, like the Broadway musical Joseph. That's what I was saying when I remembered it wasn't Daniel, it was Joseph. Now, Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, "Please, hear this dream which I have dreamed. There we were, binding shelves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And indeed, indeed, how did I immediately lose my place? Then behold, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And indeed, your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf." I think we figured out this last time that that's like a way to say sheep, I guess. Sheaves. I just think of swords. But he's talking about a sheep. And his brother said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us, or shall you indeed have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Of course, you're not helping yourself out, Daniel, saying like, "Oh, I had a dream that like my sheep are like the best, and they all are like, and all your sheep are bowing to him." Guys that already don't like me. Then he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers. "Look, I have dreamed another dream." And this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me. Now the whole universe is bowing down to me. Isn't that a cool dream? Don't you like that dream? Brothers who hate me? So he told it to his father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream, what you have dreamed? What is this dream that you have dreamed, bro? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?" And his brothers envied him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Joseph sold by his brothers. Damn, next header. Joseph sold by his brothers. Then his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." So he said to him, "Here I am." Then he said to him, "Please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the flock, and bring back word to me, bro." And he sent him out to the valley of Hebron, and then he went to Shechem. Of course, you got to go through Hebron to Shechem, the old turnpike there. Now a certain man found him, and there he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, "What are you seeking?" So he said, "I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they are feeding their flocks." And then the man said, "They have departed from here, for I have heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" Birth control. I set my birth control alarm on the microwave. Now I got I made the big ass lasagna. You get the big lasagna, then you have leftovers. Oh man, I could have said I had something cooler cooking. I have a roast. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. Now he said to him, oh, and it's out. Don't worry, I took it out. That was just me saying that's when it probably has cooled down a little. It's probably still smoking hot. My roast. Now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, "Look, this dreamer is coming. Come, therefore, and let us now kill him, and cast him into some pit, and we shall say, 'Oh, some wild beast has devoured him.' I don't know, he's definitely not in some pit. We shall see what will become of his dreams." But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, "Let us not kill him." Good guy Reuben. But Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit, which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him." So we're still going with the pit. Just don't kill him first. Just throw him in a pit. When they say pit, I mean, I don't know if this is like a 20-foot drop. Something he's not supposed to be able to get out of. Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to his father. So it came to pass, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him. Then they took him and cast him into a pit, The pit was empty. There was no water in it. Good to know. And then they sat down to eat a meal. Then they lifted their eyes and looked, and there was a couple of Ishmaelites. Oh shit, here comes the Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. You know how they do, them Ishmaelites. Coming in from Gilead. Gilead, bro, big it back be a bull. And they were coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing spices, balm, and myrrh. Shit. On their way to carry them down to Egypt. They got everything. Balm, myrrh, spices. So Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. For he is our brother and our flesh." And his brothers listened. So now he's like, he is our brother and our flesh. Is this like them taking mercy on him? I don't understand. Then Midianite traders passed by. So the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites 20 shekels of silver. And they took Joseph to Egypt. Then Reuben returned to the pit. Indeed, Joseph was not in the pit, and he tore his clothes. And he returned to his brothers and said, "The lad is no more, and where shall I go?" They're always tearing their clothes when they cry. That's a big deal. You got to tear your tunic. So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the tunic in the blood. Then they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "We have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not?" And he recognized it and said, "It is my son's tunic. I'd recognize that gay fabric anywhere. And a wild beast has devoured him without doubt. Joseph is torn to pieces without doubt." Then Jacob tore his clothes and put sackcloth on his waist and mourned for his son for many days. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him. But he refused to be comforted and said, "For I shall go down into the grave too, my son in mourning. I shall go down into the grave too, my son in mourning." Thus his father wept for him. Now the Midianites had sold him to Egypt, to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. That will become important very soon. It came to pass at the time. Judah and Tamar. So this is Genesis 38. It came to pass at the time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw that there was a daughter of a certain Canaanite who was Shua, and he married her and went into her. He married her and went into her. Okay, that's a new one. Usually they say they know him, but yeah, I guess he married him and went into him or her. So she conceived and bore a son and called his name E-R, like a Bay Area style guy, And she conceived again and bore a son and called his name Onan, and Onan. And she conceived yet again and bore a son and called his name Shelah. Onan, Shelah. He was a Chizib when she bore him. He was a Chizib when she bore him? What's a Chizib? Then Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. All right, that's just one verse. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife and marry her, and raise up an heir to your brother." But Onan knew that the heir would not be his, and it came to pass, when he went into his brother's wife, that he emitted on the ground, lest he should give an heir to his brother. So this is the first, Genesis 38, the first pullout. We're getting big into going into people. But Onan knew that the heir would not be his, and it came to pass, when he went into his brother's wife, that he emitted on the ground. So he just fucked her and pulled out, lest he should give an heir to his brother. Hell yeah. And the thing which he did displease the Lord, did displease the Lord, therefore he killed him also. Wait a minute. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, therefore he killed him also. Damn, alright, so God killed 2 people in 2 different verses. And it doesn't really say how he kills them. I guess they just drop dead. Do they explode? What are we doing here? Who am I? What am I? God killing people? What does this mean? Is God killing Republicans? Alright, let me look at this lasagna real quick. Lasagna break. Hold up. Ooh. I realize I probably shouldn't have muted it on there. That would be great audio on there. But, update on the lasagna. It's still too hot to eat. I'm not saying that I won't eat lasagna later in the stream. Right now it's just me and employee chilling. Genesis 38. Employee 75. Exchanging podcasts. He killed him also for pulling out. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow in your father's house till my son Shelah is grown. For he said, lest he also die like his brothers. And Tamar went and dwelt in his father's house. Now in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted, and went up to his sheep shearers at Timnah. Timnah? He and his friend Hira, the Adullamite, they all went up to Timnah. Timnah? And it was told Talmar, saying, look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. So he took off her widow's garments, covered herself with a veil, wrapped herself, and sat in an open place which was on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as a wife. Then Judah saw her. He thought she was a harlot because she had covered her face. Then he turned to her by the way and said, please let me come into you. For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. Oh no, no, Judah, no. So he said, what will you give me that you may come to me? And he said, I will send a young goat from the flock. Not worth it. Will you give me a pledge till you send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give? Your signet, and your cord, and your staff that is in your hand. Then he gave them to her, and went into her, and she conceived by him. So she arose and went away, and he laid aside her veil, and put in the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the young goat by the hand to his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand. But he did not find her. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where's the harlot who was openly by the roadside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. And so he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. Also, the men of the place said there was no harlot in this place. The hell? Then Judah said, let her take them for herself, lest we be shamed, for I sent this young goat, and ye have not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after, that Judah was told, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law has played the harlot. Furthermore, she is with child by the harlot tree. So Judah said, bring her out and let her be burned. Said, bring her out and let her be burned. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man to whom these belong, I am with child. And she said, please determine whose these are, the signet, and cord, and staff. So Judah acknowledged them and said, she has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah my son. And he never knew her again. Well, that's good. He didn't fuck again. Now it came to pass at the time, because that's what that means. He never knew her again. That he didn't fuck her again. So just, they had to throw that in as the last verse, just so you know. Now that he knows, he didn't do that again. He did get her pregnant one time, but she tricked him. The tricky woman. This is all stuff they leave out when they teach you as a kid. Because it's all a bunch of coming in each other. You go into me, come into me. It's good stuff. Why she did that, I don't know. Maybe I read over it. But a lot of good coming. Coming me, coming you. Alright. Now it came to pass, he never knew her again. Now it came to pass at the time for giving birth that, behold, twins were in her womb. Twins! And so it was when she was giving birth that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it to his hand, saying, this one came out first. Safe. This one's first. Scarlet thread. And then it happened as he drew back his hand that his brother came out unexpectedly. How did you break through? This breach can be upon you. Therefore his name was called Perez. The fuck? That's why he's called Perez? Afterward his brother came out who had the scarlet thread on his hand. His name was Zerah. Alright. So that was a weird aside. Good stuff. Good coming. A lot of weird asides there. But now back to Joseph, not Daniel. A slave in Egypt. So that was just like a... These guys, he fucked his daughter-in-law, tricked him into fucking her, and he gave her twins. He's like, I didn't do that. And he's like, alright, I did that. And then they never fucked again. The end. Genesis 39. Joseph, a slave in Egypt. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him from his Ishmaelites who had taken down from there. I think the Egyptians should be British. That's that's my like black Israelite is like the Egyptians were British. Something no one's ever claimed. The Egyptians are British, bro. Brought to him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down from there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight, and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had to put under his authority. So Joseph's doing good, finding favor in his sight. So it was for the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, and that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Thus he had left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. So he had Joseph in charge of everything. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. Yes, he's a hottie. And it came to pass that that was just the end of that verse. Just an aside, Joseph wrote this book. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife came with longing eyes on Joseph. Captain of the gods, wife. But he refused and said to, she had longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused and said, his master's wife, look, my master does not know what it is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has in my hands. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. Now how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So it was, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her, so lie with her or be with her. What's up, Eve? Well, the Egyptians were going to do British, you just haven't spoken yet. So as it was, when she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her, to lie with her or be with her. But it happened about this time when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men in the house were inside, and none of the men of the house was inside. That is a bad sentence. That's not my fault. And none of the men of the house was inside. And none of the men of the house was inside. That is not good. And none of the men of the house was inside. It should be were inside. Anyways, none of the men of the house were inside. That she caught him by his garment. She grabbed Joseph by his garment, saying, lie with me. Lie with me. Lie with me. But he left his garment on her hand and fled and ran outside. He ran outside naked. And so it was when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called out to the men of the house and spoke to them, saying, Oi, see, he has brought into us a Hebrew to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it happened when he heard that... Oh, wait, this is still her. And it happened when I had heard that I lifted my voice and I cried out that he had left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So she kept his garment. I don't know if I'm going to do the voices. This is like when we do Jim and Them things and I pick a voice and then, this is the person with all the dialogue. So yeah, might go to regular voice. But she kept his garment with her until his master came home. Then she spoke to him with words like these, saying, the Hebrew served whom you brought and came into me to mock me. He forked me to mock me. So it happened, as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside. Naked he was. He tried to come into me, he did. Well, he tried to come into me, he did. I'm Egyptian. The Egyptians were British. They don't want you to know the real history of the white Israelites. Or no, I guess those are just the Egyptians. But yeah, for my retelling of the Bible, I think the Egyptians are only a thing in like the first couple of verses, because they get pretty... By Exodus, they get pretty beat up. There's going to be a lot of Egyptians in Exodus. This might be a mistake. But we still have like 11 more chapters of Genesis. Theoretically, you could be done with Genesis in like one more episode, depending on how much of this one I read. Refresh the Core's lights. Core lilies. Lasagna. I'm gonna see this lasagna. Edible or too hot? Just so you know, it's a quality podcast. Instead of getting quarters, but I must have taken bites of this lasagna. I love Stouffer's lasagna. When I'm craving lasagna, I'm craving Stouffer's lasagna. Yeah, I might have to just bring this lasagna on screen. Oh, it's sticky. Alright, one more bite. We gotta stop fooling around. Alright. Wonder if it's picking me up slurping on the mic. How powerful is the mic? Oh, that PS4 is definitely humming in the background the whole time, huh? That PS4 is definitely humming. Let me turn off the PS4. That's the first 30 minutes audio going to have a little hum going, so that's good. Into rest mode. Into rest. Lasagna break. The only Bible study is eating lasagna off screen. I'm going to have to bring in the whole lasagna. I said leftovers, but I'm probably just going to end up eating the giant sized one. Love Stouffer's lasagna. Meat lovers. Slopping it like a pig. Alright, better audio. So what is this? Genesis 39:19. They have verse numbers. You should know that from Austin 3:16. Stouffer's? I mean, Stouffer's lasagna is just like you have to want Stouffer's lasagna. I've had this speech a million times, but it's just like I like Stouffer's lasagna, but it's like liking Taco Bell. It's not like an Italian would be like, that's not lasagna. It's like, yeah, I know, but I like it. I like it because it's like a scab. Anyways, so it was when his master heard the words which his wife spoke to him. Your servant did to me after this manner, that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined. And he was there in the prison, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Yes! Bonus, he gets a buff. He gets a buff from God. It makes him more charming. And let's see. This weird lighting. Oh, it's because the blue from the fucking TV. The bloat from the alky. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in his prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing. I don't know what that means. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. So now he's running the jail from the inside. Good. Good for Joseph. Joseph's the best. Wow. I kind of hate Joseph. I see why his brothers threw him in that pit with no water in the bottom, because he's always bragging about how great he is, and then things always work out. God's on his side. Maybe, I guess, don't sell him into slavery. I guess. That might have been a bad move. But slavery is the best thing that ever happened to him. He's over in Egypt killing it. Getting promoted. Even when he's arrested, he's like basically running. He's basically... Which I don't know if that's good. Wouldn't the prisoners all hate you if you're this, like, the right-hand man of the fucking, the warden? I don't know. Seems like they would. The Bible. Genesis 40, the prisoner's dreams. It came to pass after these things that the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their lord, the king of Egypt. I love when they just double down on everything. It came to pass after these things, which also, that's a great, terrible first sentence. It came to pass after these things that the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was angry with his two officers, the chief butler and the chief baker. So he put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the prison, in the place where Joseph was confined. Fuck, that's like a sentence. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them. So they were in custody for a while. That's fucked up. You just piss off your king, he's like, you're going to jail. You're a bad butler. You're a terrible butler. I oughta throw you in fucking jail. I oughta throw you in fucking jail right now with the baker. You call this fucking bread? You call this fucking leavened bread? This is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. You're going to jail. You're going to jail with the guy that tried to fuck my wife. The guy that tried to fuck my wife. And he's killing it. He's great. We all love Joseph. $3D. Anyways. So they were in custody for a while. Then the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, had a dream. We know where they're at, bro. Who is writing this shit? Who were confined in the prison had a dream, both of them. Each man's dream in one night, and each man's dream in its own interpretation. And Joseph came into them in the morning and looked at them, and he saw that they were sad. So he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in the custody of the Lord's house, "Why do you look so sad today?" And they said to him, we each had a dream, and there's no interpreter of it, man. So, who said that? They said to him. They said them simultaneously. Anyways, yeah, I can't do simultaneous. But a picture two guys talking like that at the same time, apparently. So Joseph said to them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me, please. Then the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, Behold, in my dream there was a vine before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was it budded. It was as though it budded, and its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. Then Pharaoh's cup was like in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said to him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Now within 3 days Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former manner, when you were his butler. But remember me when it's well with you, and please show kindness to me. Make mention of me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this house, for indeed I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews. And also I have done nothing here that they should put me into the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, I don't know how he verified that it was good, it just said it sounded good. He said to Joseph, I also was in my dream, and there was 3 white baskets on my head also. In the utmost basket were all kinds of, baked goods from Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket on my head. So Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days Pharaoh will lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh from you. Damn. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and the chief baker among his servants. Then he restored the chief butler to his butlership again, He placed the cup in the Pharaoh's hand, but he hanged the chief baker. Damn! I didn't realize it's two different guys. But yeah, the other, yeah, when I was doing the voices. I guess the baker's also Mexican. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to him. Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. What the hell? What the hell, butler? I mean, granted, Joseph didn't really do anything, but how would you forget that he called that shit? I wish the other guy lived. Maybe he would have put in a good word. He hanged his baker? How bad was the bread? Did he do... He must have... I mean, maybe he did something outside of his profession. Maybe he tried to fuck his wife. I don't know. Seems wild. And to be the butler, it's like, yeah, sorry about all that. Did you learn your lesson? Going to jail for being bad at butlery? Oh, fuck. Genesis 41. Scooge Magoo, petting the cat for the podcast listeners. Podcast, Guyble Studies, patreon.com/Guyble Studies for the audio feeds. So when you walk your damn dog, you can learn about the fucking Bible. Hear me vape. And get access to the video archives. Although I'm not going to post all the movie streams because they're like 6 hours long. And like, what would I guess I would, yeah. Movie streams, just be here on Twitch. Check it out. Thanks for all the bits. Pharaoh's Dreams, Genesis 41, chapter 41, verse 1. Then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years in the damn dungeon for allegedly trying to fuck his wife. I guess he hung the baker, but he hung the baker right away. Then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by the river. Suddenly there came up out of the river 7 cows, fine looking and fat, and they fed in the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, ugly and gaunt, and stood by the other cows at the bank of the river. And the ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine-looking and fat cows? What? The ugly cows came in and ate the other cows? Cannibal cows? The ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine-looking and fat cows. And so Pharaoh awoke. He's like, oh, what? His nightcap went flying off like, don't wake daddy. He's like, what? Huh? He slept. And then he went back to sleep, I guess. He slept and dreamed a second time, and suddenly 7 heads of grain came out. 1 stalk, plump and full and good. Oh, I wonder what happens. On 1 stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 thin heads, blighted by the east wind, sprang up from them. And the 7 thin heads, oh, guess what? Devoured the 7 plump and full heads of grain. So Pharaoh awoke, and indeed it was a dream. Now it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and of all its wise men. Bring out all the magicians and wise men. I guess the wise man's like a philosopher. I mean, I don't know. And then magicians? I mean, maybe they like tell fortunes and shit. I would assume they're not just doing tricks unless he's just like, I'm feeling sad and I want to see magic. But magic's never cheered anyone up. Bring all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. And Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief butler spoke to Pharaoh, saying, oh shit, I remember my faults this day. When Pharaoh was angry with me... Fuck, that reminds me, I forgot. When Pharaoh was angry with me 2 years ago, and with his servants, he put me in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, both me and the chief baker. We each had a dream in one night, and he and I. Each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. Now there was a young Hebrew man who came with us. There, a servant of the captain of the guard. Oh yeah, this is the guy that talks like this. And then we told him that he interpreted our dreams for us. Each man he interpreted according to his own dream. And it came to pass just as he interpreted for us, so it happened. He restored him to my office and he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent and called to Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. And he shaved, changed his clothing, and came to Pharaoh. When Pharaoh said to Joseph, I've had a dream, and there was no one who could interpret it. But I have heard it is said that you can understand a dream to interpret it. So Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream I stood on a bank of a river. Suddenly 7 cows came up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed in a meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them, very poor, very ugly, very gaunt, such ugliness as I have never seen in the land of Egypt. Then the gaunt and ugly cows ate up all the first 7 of the fat cows. Then when they had eaten them up, no one would have known they had eaten them, for they were just as ugly as at the beginning. So I awoke. Also, I saw my dream. Suddenly 7 heads came up, of one stalk, full and good. Then behold, 7 heads with it, then blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them. And then the thin heads devoured the 7 good heads. So I told this to the magicians. They didn't know what to fucking make of it, lad. But there was no one who could explain it to me. Not one magician could explain my crazy cow dream. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has shown Pharaoh that he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 thin and ugly cows which came up after them are 7 years, and then 7 empty heads blighted by the east wind are 7 years of famine. Okay, so the first ones are 7 years, and the 7 empty heads are 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown me, Pharaoh, what he is about to do. Indeed, 7 years of great plenty will come throughout all the land of Egypt, but after them 7 years of famine will arise, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine will deplete the land. So the plenty will not be known in the land, because of the famine following for it will be very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice, because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass, and he's always fucking repeating himself. Now therefore, let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man, and set him over the land of Egypt. I wonder who he should pick. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land to collect 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 plentiful years. And then, I like this guy, he's got a plan. And then let them gather all the food for those good years that are coming, and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh. Yeah. And let them keep the food in the cities. Then that food shall be as a reserve for the land of the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land may not perish during the damn famine. Don't sit on my vape. Don't sit on my vape. Don't sit on my vape. Oh yeah. Then that food shall be as a reserve for the land for 7 years of famine, which shall be in Egypt, that the land may not perish. Good call. Set aside reserves. They never set aside reserves? That's crazy. Kitty matched the pillow. Kitty matched the drapes. Kitty, kitty. Let's see. And let them gather all the food of these good years, blah, blah, blah. Don't perish during the famine. Next header, Joseph's rise to power. Because he had a plan. Yeah, that butler forgot him for 2 years. But he's stuck on his vision board. I'm already way off vision board. We never made vision boards. But no progress other than the show. Always progress. Hit the Twitch payout on bits last night during the super stream. By completely normal means. Joseph's rise to power. So the advice was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And the Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find such a one as this, a man whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Inasmuch as God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will be greater than you. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you all over the lands of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and he clothed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. Then he had him ride around in the second chariot, which he had, which of course he had. Thanks for clarifying. Which he had, and then cried out before him, "Bow the knee!" So he sent him over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh also said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, and without your consent no man may lift his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt." And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zapanath Paneah. So they're big on changing names out here. You tapping me? Zapanath Paneah. And he gave him his wife, Asenath. He gave him as wife Asenath, the daughter of Poti, Pharaoh priest of On. So Joseph went out all over the land of Egypt. Nice. Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out of the presence of Pharaoh, and he went through all the land of Egypt. Damn, so this is like 13 years, so 2 years in prison, however long it took for him to rise to the point of getting 2 years in prison. 13 years later now, riding around 30. Now in the 7 plentiful years the ground burst forth abundantly, so he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and he laid up the food in the cities, and he laid up in every city the flood of the fields which surrounded them. Joseph gathered very much grain as the sand of the sea until he stopped counting, for it was immeasurable. All the grain was immeasurable, which was probably like 50 silos of grain. Into Joseph were born 2 sons. The years of famine came, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh. Manasseh? It looks like Vanessa, but with an M. Manasseh? For God has made me forget all my toil, and all my father's house. And the name of the second one he called Ephraim, for God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of affliction. You trying to lick this beer can? You trying to freak? Huh? I just moved the camera over down here, over here. You damn fruit. Not that it matters. Kitty watch. No, she's getting ready for children. What else? Then the 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Egypt ended, and the 7 years of famine began to come. As Joseph had said, the famine was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So when in all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried out to Pharaoh for bread. Then the Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph. What he says, go to Joseph. Whatever he says for you to do, do it. The famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians. And the famine became severe in the land of Egypt. So all countries came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, because the famine was severe in all the lands. Thanks. Genesis 42. Joseph's brothers go to Egypt. When Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, why do you look at one another? And he said, indeed, I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down to that place and buy for us there, that we may live and not die. Says Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he said, lest some calamity befall him. And the sons of... yeah, so just being safe. Didn't send all the brothers. And the sons of Israel went to buy grain among those who journeyed, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Now Joseph was governor over the land, and it was he who sowed to all the people of the land. Joseph saw... all the people... And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down before him, with their faces to the earth, just like the sheaves. Just like the sheaves. Just like he dreamed the sheaves, God planned for him to be sold into slavery and go to jail. But it all worked out. It built character. He's been a Mary Sue. Even when bad things happen to him, nothing bad happens. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down before him in their faces to the earth. Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but he acted as a stranger to them and spoke roughly to them. Then he said to them, where do you come from? And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. So Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Then Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed about them and said to them, you are spies! You have come to see the nakedness of the land. And they said to him, no, my lord, but your servants have come to buy food. We are all one man's sons. We are honest men. Your servants are not spies. But he said to them, no, but you have come to see the nakedness of the land. And they said, your servants are 12 brothers, the son of one man in the land of Canaan. And in fact, the youngest is with our father today. One is no more. But Joseph said to him, it is as I spoke to you, saying, you are spies. In this manner you shall be tested. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you, and let him bring your brother. You shall be kept in prison, that your words may be tested to see whether there is any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies. So he put them all together in prison for 3 days. He's getting revenge. This is great. Then Joseph said to them on the 3rd day, do this and live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers be confined to your prison house, but you go and carry grain for the famine of your houses, and bring your youngest brother to me, so your words will be verified, and you shall not die. And they did so. And they said to one another, we are truly guilty concerning our brother, for we saw the anguish of his soul when he pleaded with us, that we would not hear. Therefore his distress has come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, did I not speak to you, saying, do not sin against the boy, bro? And you would not listen. Therefore, behold, his blood is now required of us. Fuck! But they did not know that Joseph understood them, for he spoke to them through an interpreter. He turned himself away from them and wept. And then he returned to them again and talked with them. And he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. Okay, it's getting weird. The brothers returned to Canaan. Then Joseph gave a command to fill their sacks with grain, and to restore every man's money to his sack, and to give them provisions for the journey. Thus he did for them. So they loaded their donkeys with the grain, and departed from there. But as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey feed at the encampment, he saw his money, and there it was, in the mouth of the sack. So he said to his brother, my money has been restored. There it is, in my sack. Then their hearts failed them, and they were afraid, saying to one another, "What is this that God has done to us?" They thought it magically appeared in there. Shoutouts. Then they went to Jacob their father in the land of Canaan and told him all that had happened to them, saying, "The man who is lord of the land spoke roughly to us, took us for spies of the country. But we said to him, 'We are honest men, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is with our father this day in the land of Canaan.' Then the man of the lord of the country said to us, 'By this I know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me. Take food for the famine with you for your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother to me. So I shall know that you are not spies, but that you are honest men. And I will grant you, brother, to you, and you may trade in the land.'" Whew! Then it happened, as they emptied their sacks, that surprisingly each man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said to them, "You have bereaved me. Joseph is no more. Simeon is no more. And you want to take Benjamin. All these things are against me." Blah! Then Reuben spoke to his father, saying, "Kill my 2 sons if I do not bring them back to you, bro. Put them in my hands, and I will bring them back to you." But he said, my son shall not go down for you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If any calamity should befall him along the way in which you go, then you would bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave." Alright, that's Genesis 43. I'm going to grab another beer. Wow, things heating up. Things heating up with Joseph and his brothers. I love that he just put him in jail for 3 days just to think about it. Now he's got one of them. Let me check in on this lasagna. Lasagna. Bro, I'm like damn Garfield out here. Good piece like hello. Thank God I'm a good boy. See if they get wrapped on this saga here. That lasagna's going down tonight. Ain't no leftovers. Ain't no damn leftovers, Jack. Kitty. Alright. Your woo ASMR. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to oversell it because it's microwave fucking food. This one I baked, but I like it. Joseph's brothers return with Benjamin. Now the famine was severe in the land, and it came to pass when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Egypt, that their father said to them, "Go back and buy us a little food. Come on." But Judah spoke to them, saying, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you do not send him, he will not go down. For the man said to us, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.' And Israel said, 'Why did you deal so wrongfully with me as to tell the men whether you still had another brother?' But they said, "The man asked us pointedly about ourselves and our family, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you another brother?' So on and so forth. And we told him according to these words. Could we possibly have known that they would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" Yeah, fair point. How would they know? You expect too much. Could we possibly have known that they would say, 'Bring your brother down'? Then Judah said to Israel his father, "Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you and also our little ones. I myself will be surety. I myself will be surety for him. Surety. I myself will be surety for him. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not lingered, surely by now we would have returned his second time." And their father Israel said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down a present for the man. A little balm, a little honey, little spices and myrrh, what everybody likes. Balm, honey, spices, myrrh, pistachio nuts are great, and almonds. This is good eats on here. Some balm, almonds, pistachio nuts. Take double money in your hand, and take back in your hand the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take your brother also, and arise and go back to the man. And may God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may release your other brother and Benjamin. If I am bereaved, I am bereaved." So the men took that present and Benjamin, and they took their double money in their hand, and arose and went down to Egypt, and they stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my home, and slaughter an animal, and make ready for these men, and we will dine with me at noon." Yes, slaughter an animal. Moon. Then the man did as Joseph ordered, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, "It is because of the money which was returned in our sacks the first time that we were brought in, so that he may make a case against us and seize us, and take us as slaves with our donkeys." Not our donkeys. And they drew near to the steward of Joseph's house, where they talked with him at the door of the house, and said, "O sir, we indeed came down for the first time to buy food. But it happened that when we came to the encampment, we opened our sacks, and there each man's money was still in the mouth of the sack, our money in full weight. So we have brought it back in our hand. We have brought down other money in our hands to buy food. We do not know who put the money in the sacks." But then he said, "Peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has given your treasure in your sacks. I had your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. So the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys feed. Then they made present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that he would eat bread there. When Joseph came home, he brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed down before him to the earth. Then he asked them about their well-being and said, "Is your father well, the old man whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" And they answered, "Your servant, our father, is in good health. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads down and prostrated themselves. Then he lifted from his eyes, saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me?" He said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Now his heart yearned for his brother, so Joseph made haste and sought somewhere to weep. He found somewhere to go weep. Then he went into his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out and restrained himself and said, "Serve the bread." So they set him by their place. Get away from my biscuits. He washed his face and came out, and he restrained himself and said, "Serve the bread." So they set him a place by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves. Because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. Yeah. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked on in astonishment at one another. Then he took servings to them from before him. But Benjamin's serving was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they drank and were merry with him. What point does he come out? 2 more chapters? God damn. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to stop here. So I'm already slurring. But this is a good short ep going up. Thank you for coming through. We'll return with Genesis 43 soon. Joseph, couple chapters, the big reveal to his brother. Getting back in the swing of things. Patreon.com/Guyble Studies. Keep an eye on the Twitch. Follow, subscribe, like. Get man-lightened. Thank you.